Well, good morning, Curd Nerds. This is another episode of Ask the Cheeseman, where you can learn about home cheese making. Now, I'll just wait a little bit for me to check whether the stream's okay. Yeah, looks like it's good. Can I have an audio check, please, from someone? I'll wait. Good, excellent, fantastic. Thank you very much. Looks like we've got the regular crowd, which is fantastic. Let's say a few hellos. We've got Molly Wop, David, Lewis, Joy, g'day Joy, Guitar Player 38, Geordie. We've got, what's that? Kyoshi, Kyoshi Fans Toy Channel. I'll get it right. Breezy Girl, g'day mate. Deep South Texas. Danny, g'day. And Kim's logged in too. Brendan's there. Fantastic. All the crowd. It's all just lovely. Let's just check if the YouTube says it's good. Yep. Oh, still going. Sorry. Horace, g'day from Germany. Seeker, I think that's how you pronounce it. Paul, Jimmy, and Artie Frog. Fantastic. So many people here. It's good to be back. I must admit, after all of those weeks of all that pain, I have very little at the moment, which is really, really good. And I don't know, it just feels like a weight's been lifted from my mind. So that's a good thing. Okay. So just we're probably still waiting for the YouTube to alert everybody because there's 44 people on. That's fantastic. Um, G'day to Andrew, Nisha. Thanks, Brendan. Yes, I hoped I was missed, I suppose. Being in the humble way. William, g'day from Scotland. Okay. First of all, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. Shout out to patrons for this month. Istvan, thank you very much for your pledge. Lucas, thank you very much for yours. And Lorenz, thank you so much for your pledge via Patreon. Without the Patreon donations, lots of little jobs couldn't get done around here, including the hosting fees that I've got to pay for the podcast episodes, all about cheese. So I did actually try to record some podcast episodes in hospital, but I didn't realise, and maybe it was just me being silly, that hospitals are very noisy places, and you get interrupted all the time. So I did make one recording, and then I listened back to it, and it was dreadful. There was some audio hiss, so yeah, it didn't quite work very good at all. Okay. Now, cheeses that are in post production at the moment, we've got Kefalatiri, which is a Greek cheese. It's used for, I don't know if anybody's ever seen it. It's called saganaki. It's a dish. The pan itself is actually called a saganaki. Excuse me. And basically, you coat the cheese in a little bit of milk and flour, and then you fry the cheese in the frying pan in olive oil. Very similar to what halloumi, similar process of cooking halloumi, but it doesn't taste like halloumi. It actually tastes a lot different. So that one's in the process, and I've also created a new cheese. I don't know if it's new, but it's new to me anyway. And I've just winged the recipe, and it's called Farmhouse Cheddar Blue. Um, Anybody who's read my book, Keep Calm and Make Cheese, would have seen a recipe for it or a variation based on farmhouse cheddar or stir curd cheddar. So I've taken that to the next level, made a video of it, and it's sitting in the cheese cave at the moment. Very bloomy. It's been pierced, and hopefully there are lots of blue veins through it. Okay. And last but not least, my second channel, the vlog channel, the one that says Gavin Weber Vlogs, is going to ramp up over the next few weeks as well. Anybody who's into sustainable living, vegetable gardening, green lifestyle, that sort of stuff, then there's going to be a fair bit of that over there. So um, you can pop over and check that out. Kim will put a link in the description somewhere. Okay, that's enough of me waffling on. Now, just before we start, ladies and gents, I must admit my head is a little bit slow. So, what I will be asking, if anybody has any burning questions, absolutely burning, that they must get answered, then do a super chat. You'll see there's a little dollar sign down there in the chat box. That way, I think you can pledge. You can just give a donation of $2, and your question goes straight to the top of the list. I will not be answering every single question today. I don't think I'm capable of that, seeing I've just recovered from these headaches and I don't want to start any more from stress or overwork or what have you. Okay, so I will start now, shall we? Let's have a look. We'll go back as far as. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So let's have a look. Nicholas asks, my ricotta turned into a sticky goo in the fridge after a few days. It was under tight plastic wrap. Any idea what happened? No. No idea what has happened to your ricotta. It shouldn't do that. Unless you haven't drained it properly, then it would have had maybe a lot of whey with it. But no, normally it stays quite firm. In fact, it actually dries out from my experience. So not very sure what's happened there. Casa X. Oh, get some good names, guys. Casa X. I randomly found one of your videos after watching Binging with Babish, and I sent it to my brother. He got hooked, said your videos were like a drug to him. They're like a drug to me, too. Funny you should say, Binging with Babish. Great channel. Really like it. I was actually watching about 2 or 3 of his videos last night. And it does a very good job with very simple foods. And basically what he does, he takes recipes that are, or meals that are shown in films or TV shows, and he recreates them. And yeah, it's very well done. All right, Danny's asked, I'm making a kafili and there's an outbreak of green mold on it. The last 2 vinegar brine washes don't seem to do anything. Any ideas on how to fix this? Yeah, Danny, blue mold loves really, well, it seems to love very dry conditions. Uh, all you can do really is keep washing. Have you tried a mixture of salt and vinegar? That usually works for me if I'm trying to get rid of some blue that shouldn't be there. So I'll do a standard, just a cup of water, and then cup of water, 2 teaspoons of salt, and a tablespoon of vinegar. Stir them all together and then wash with that. And usually it seems to keep the blue mold at bay. So a combination of salt and vinegar. Okay, Michael, hopefully you're doing much better. Yeah, Mike. Michael, I am doing a lot better, thank you. George says, what's your favourite cheese to put on toast? I actually like this concoction that Kim introduced me to. It's called Welsh Rarebit. So it's actually not cheese on toast. It's a mixture of stuff on toast with cheese. And if you've ever tasted Welsh Rarebit, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is an amazing dish that uses quite a bit of cheese. And sometimes it can be so hot when it comes out of the griller that you burn the roof of your mouth. And it's a bloody good dish. It really does taste nice. It's one of those comfort foods in winter. So try Welsh Rarebit. There you go. That's one of my favourite cheeses on toast. Okie dokie. Right. Where are we? Brendan's got a question. I have a question about milk acidification via culture. I'm now taking pH readings of milk with a digital pH meter at various stages. I find milk has a pH of 7 out of the bottle, which is weird because it should be about 7.8, because milk naturally is a little bit acidic. Because water has a pH of 7. So anyway, hopefully you're doing calibration with your meter, Brendan. Anyway, next question. After adding culture and allowing the milk to ripen, I find the pH only drops to 6.7. This seems like a very small change. Readings taken later after the curd is cut, also 6.7 and then 6.6. Again, only a very small change. Is the expected drop? Should there be more acid than this? Actually, initially, Brendan, no, it only drops by about 0.3 after you've ripened the curd. And then when you start, after you've cut the curd and start stirring, you will find that it starts to drop fairly rapidly over the next couple of hours. So, yeah, that works. Okay. So hopefully that's answers your question. There's only a minor drop in the ripening phase, very minor. But if you don't see that drop, then you'll know that your cultures aren't working properly. But yeah, that drop is good. That's good enough. Okay. George says, looking sexy tonight. Such a great channel. Thank you, George. Brooke, I caught you on. Every time I try to make mozzarella, it comes out rubbery. I feel like I'm doing everything right. What kind of mozzarella are you trying? Are you doing the quick mozzarella or the traditional acidified with cultures mozzarella there, Brooke? Mozzarella is a pain, I must admit, unless you've really figured it out and practiced, then you will have some troubles. Where am I up to? I've got a super chat. Oh, Molly. G'day, Molly. Thank you very much for the £2. So glad to have you back. Every little bit helps. Thank you very much. Okay, so where I'm up to. Paul says, you suggest aging cheddar at 50 Fahrenheit, which is 13 Celsius. What's the tolerance on the temperature? I can get my fridge close to 50, but not dead on. Yeah, look, there's a little bit of leeway. Plus or minus 2 degrees is okay. If you're thinking of maturing it at a higher, hang on a minute. Okay, we'll start again, shall we? The temperature of your cheese is better if it's below 13 degrees Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit. If you have the temperature higher, then the problem is the lactic bacteria then breed faster, produce more acid, and give it a sharper flavour. Sometimes it can give it off flavours, which is not so good. So lower is better. If you can get it to 50 or you struggle to get it up to 50, that's fine. Don't go above 50 Fahrenheit or 13 for cheddar type cheeses. Cheddar. Okay. Alrighty. Joy says, I saw your raclette tasting and making, and I made some last week. I'm really happy about it and can't wait to eat it. I tell you what, Joy, that raclette was amazing. And I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet or anything because it tasted, when I tasted it just by the slice, I went, oh, this is a bit of an ordinary sort of cheese, a little bit bland. And then once I tasted it melted, I tell you what, totally different flavour profile. It was just amazing. Really good cheese. Everybody, well, Kim, Ben, and David seemed to enjoy themselves. I can't vouch for their taste buds, but my taste buds were tickled. I tell you, tickled taste buds. So, yes, hopefully yours will turn out just as good as mine. It really was good. And there wasn't a lot of ripening from the Brevibacteria linens. It wasn't overripe like say a Tilsit or a Port Salut or something like that. It was just mild enough, and I'll tell you what, it was just amazing. Anyway, I'll stop raving on about that cheese. It was really good. Geordie says, just want to say thank you for answering my questions regarding Tilsit and Manchego. The halloumi was amazing. You're most welcome, Geordie. Femel says, hi, Gavin. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you very much. George says the same. Lindsay says, I left cheddar overnight rather than 2 to 3 days before waxing. What is likely to happen? Okay, if your cheese is touch dry, then nothing will happen. It'll be fine. If your cheese was still moist and you waxed it, then there's a good chance that it's going to seep way into the wax coating during maturation. It's got to be fairly dry before you wax the cheese. Um, and case in point, the farmhouse cheddar blue, I left it on the kitchen bench for 7 days before it was touch dry, and it started to show a bloom of blue anyway. That variation. However, if you can see it's touch dry and you can hold it there, it should feel like a clammy handshake before you wax it, or a little bit drier. But certainly not moist. Cannot be moist before you wax it because it'll just continue to seep away. All the moisture's not gone from around the surface of the cheese. It just makes it a little bit harder. Okay. Next question. Oh, the demo says, what cheese goes best on steak? You know, there's a lot of debate about this, but personal preference is that. Oh, let me think. You know what? There's nothing quite like a good blue cheese sauce on a steak, and that's just my personal preference. I really like any sort of blue cheese that's been melted down with a roux and combined and makes a very nice sort of pourable blue cheese sauce, and that goes fantastic on any steak. That's just me. I'm a blue cheese guy. I like that sort of stuff. Okay. Danny says, "G'day, Danny. I have a source of raw goat's milk. What are some delicious cheeses made from goat's milk?" Well, you can just about make any sort of cheese from goat's milk. It'll have a different flavour profile, but the style will be fairly the same. I've even seen recipes for goat's milk cheddar using the cheddaring process. Um, well, some of my favourites anyway. Halloumi you can make with just goat's milk. Obviously Greek feta, but you've got to use a little bit of sheep's milk there. But I've used all goat's milk. It's no big deal. Still tastes absolutely fantastic. The Bloomy Goat Blue is another really good one. One of my inventions. Probably not my invention, but I just made it that way. So yeah, so that's really good. What else? Oh, that'll do. There's some really good ones. There's 4, 5 good ones. Okay. And B says, do you go to cheese competitions? Do you sell your cheese online? Do you do you ever make raw cheese? My goodness, there's a few questions, isn't there? Okay, do I go to cheese competitions? No. I'm just a humble home cheese maker that likes to share cheese making recipes with the world. That's about it. Um, what else? Do I ever use raw milk to make cheese? Yes, I do on occasion when it's supplied to me by friends in the cheese making world. You would have seen that I used raw milk to make a pecorino romano. I've also made normal vaccio romano using raw milk as well. Um, what else? Do I sell my cheese online? No, I don't. I don't sell my cheese online because I don't have a license from Dairy Australia, so it's illegal. I give my cheese away to family and friends and have parties like you've seen online lately. We have a little cheese party or a cheese platter. And yeah, very good. Good way to keep it in the family, I suppose. Charlie says, hello. G'day, Charlie. How are you, mate? Okay, I am ugly, guy. Sorry to hear. Have you ever or planning to make chocolate cheese? See, chocolate and cheese don't go very well. The chocolate, if you use cacao powder, it tends to bitter the rind of the cheese. I have seen people coat cheese, as in make the normal cheese, don't add any chocolate to it, but coat it in cacao powder and olive oil, and that acts as a protective barrier. It's not so much for flavour because it is quite bitter, normal cacao powder. So, no, I'm not planning on making chocolate cheese. George says, what's the oldest cheese in the world? When did humans invent cheese? Well, there's a lot of theories, but oldest cheese is basically an acid set yogurt cheese, and it was first invented in the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East. It was the first time they ever made cheese. In fact, the Babylonians used to offer up that type of cheese to their gods, Ishtar, at the temples. And I dare say that the priests were the ones that actually ate the cheese. So there's a bit of history for you. Okay. Nicholas says, oh, sorry. Oh, I missed thousands. Does goat's milk need to be pasteurised to be safely made into cheese? Well, that's up to you. If you think the source of the milk is 100% okay and it was clean and you've got it just after milking, the milk that is, and you make cheese straight away, then it may be fairly safe. However, when in doubt, always pasteurise your milk. Okay. Favourite cheese? Austin says, favourite cheese in a video game? For one, I enjoy collecting cheese wheels in Skyrim. No, don't have one. Sorry, mate. Alrighty. Brooke says, quick mozzarella comes out rubbery and harder than I like. I do a recipe with just citric acid and rennet. Brooke, ease off on the rennet is my suggestion. So you may have to experiment with a few batches. As long as you don't add in lipase to the mix, you can reduce a little bit of rennet at a time over various batches, and you may get your own recipe using whatever milk you're using that will be satisfactory. But yeah, too much rennet makes it rubbery and hard. Okay. Where are we up to? Paul says, do you have a recipe for Dubliner? I'll have to check. I'll write that down. Dubliner. Okay, thank you, Paul. Surprise, surprise. Can you please make merch? Yes, there is a merch store, and Kim does have the link for the merch store. In fact, it's in the video description below. If you have a look down below, there's a link to the merch store. Nicholas, I found a recipe online for Havarti, and they use normal mesophilic instead of Floridanica. Do you think this would work? Yeah, see, the problem is with Havarti, it needs to have a buttery taste, okay? And Floridanica and a few other aromatic mesophilic cultures have a strain of bacteria that does something called, starts with a D, a dialysis. I think that's what it is. Sorry. But yeah, what it does, it breaks down some of the fats and turns them into buttery textures. So you really do have to use an aromatic starter culture, or aromatic mesophilic starter culture to make Havarti work. And also to make other cheeses like Butterkäse. So yeah, that definitely needs that. Okay. Stranger says, Stranger Land and Livestock. Hello from Idaho. Love your videos. Thanks, mate. Sharp Productions, you're a living legend. Thank you. Charlie says, Gavin, I just opened up Colby, and although very nice in flavour, it was a little crumbly. Okay, well, it really shouldn't be, Charlie. It should be a lot smoother. Maybe next time, what makes cheese crumbly? Too much rennet makes it crumbly, that's for sure. And stirring too long also makes it crumbly. So maybe adjust those two parameters next time you make your Colby, and it should be okay. It should slice then. Okay, Lord Ruben, hello, love your videos. I subbed. Thanks for the sub. Manuel, I got some cheeses curing, and they are coming. They are coming reddish and yellow mold. What's the problem? Some of them are getting wet and soft. Oh, that's not good at all. Obviously, your cheeses are too moist, and they need to dry out a bit. Anything red mold-ish means that the surface of your cheese is too moist, or the area you're doing it in is too humid. So back off on the humidity. And if they're in a ripening box, then leave the lid off for a while. Okay, Geordie, I found a recipe for Tete de Moines on a forum should you need it. I remember somebody asking for it. Yeah, send that through, Geordie. That'll be great. Just via the About page on the YouTube channel, and my email address will come up and you'll be able to send that through. I'm always after new and interesting cheeses. Okay. Does cheese give you nightmares? No, it doesn't give me nightmares. Only nightmares I get is when cheeses fail. Andreas says, hi from Sweden. Love your videos. Got awakened. Oh, it awakened my interest to make cheese at home. Here's a question I can't seem to get an answer via Google. You use calcium chloride in your milk. What does it do? Okay, so calcium chloride basically adds back some soluble calcium to the milk that is normally destroyed during any heat treatment of milk, um, as well as proteins. Well, it doesn't add proteins back in, but it adds the calcium. And what it does, it allows the milk to set a curd better than just by using rennet alone. So that's why you add calcium chloride to your milk. You're adding a little bit of soluble calcium to the milk to compensate for any that was destroyed or changed to insoluble calcium during the pasteurization process. There you go. So if all that and more you can find at Keep Calm and Make Cheese, the beginner's guide to cheese making at home, which should be in the link description below somewhere. Okay, Tony says, I got hold of 20 litres of bath milk. Yeah, that's a good one. I saved it. I saved it in its own brine way at 10% salt. Sorry, now I'm confused. Hang on, let me just read this. I got hold of 20 litres of bath raw milk, cow's milk. I saved it in its own brine way at 10% salt. The outside is getting runny and slow. Right, so the cheese that you've made. Right, is there a trick to getting a firm, matured halloumi? Yes, there is a trick. It's called a balanced pH. So, a good example, if you pop over to my goat's milk feta video and go and have a look, it actually shows you how to make a balanced pH brine. Because what happens is if you don't balance, if the pH of the cheese is different than the pH of the brine, then there's an ion exchange, a calcium ion exchange, and it makes the outer surface of the cheese go slimy. All right, that's what happens. You need to have the pH of both at the same rate, or sorry, at the same level, and you can do that by adding a little bit of vinegar to the brine, and that helps bring the pH up. Okay, so surprise, surprise says make a cookbook. Sorry, already done so. I'm actually writing the second one. Well, I haven't done so much because of the headaches, and I think I've broken my promise to all of you that I was supposed to release the second edition or the second volume by the end of March, but that didn't go so well. So anyway, I'm sure you'll forgive me. Okay. Where are we? What's your thought on fake cheeses? Oh, yeah, I don't like fake cheeses. Any processed cheese, as far as I'm concerned, tastes bloody terrible. So yeah, I avoid it like the plague. Femel says, I saw a restaurant here is making cheese with nut milk. I think they use almond milk. Would you try that and give us a review? That way the vegans can make cheese too. Yeah, I do have I have a vegan cheese kit that has been set aside from my shop stock. Um, and although it's technically not cheese, because it doesn't use milk and rennet, then, but I'm very willing to give that a go actually, because I think it'll be quite popular. There are a lot of people out there that are lactose intolerant, even though they just love cheese and they have to take a tablet every time they consume cheese. I think I'll be able to make that, no problems. NKY Homestead, Jason, yes, I have done merch. Cool. Yep, thank you very much, mate. Where am I up to? James, so you say maybe 10 litres of milk for a recipe. How much exactly does that cost using raw materials in Australia? Milk, rennet, because I have found the costs of milk is quite high in New Zealand. Yeah, look, the average wheel of cheese, I work out costs me, I did a whole video on this. I'm not sure. I think it was about $12 Australian. No, actually, it's a lot more now because I use unhomogenised milk. It's about between $15 and $18 Australian to make a kilo and about 1.2 kilos, which is nearly 3 pounds of cheese. But having seen the prices of mature cheese in the shops that are equivalent, if not lesser quality than the cheese that I make as a home cheese maker, I think I'm getting a very, very good deal. Okay. Benny says, need more cheese making videos, please. Yes, there's some coming, mate. So hold your horses. It's all under control. Danny says, how do I get my sherv to the log state? Do I just drain it longer? Yes, Danny, that's all you do. Just drain a little bit longer. You'll find that the sherv feels a bit firmer, and then you'll be able to form it into a log and put it in herbs and all the fancy stuff. All good. So just drain it for a few more hours. Okay, Horace says, I want to store cheese for longer periods to have some for bad times. What cheese stores the best and how long? I ask because I want an idea of how often I can have to make cheese to always have some. Depends on how much you consume, Horace. The best cheeses are the harder ones. So ones like cheddars, any of the Italian hard cheeses, like Parmesan style, Grana Padano styles, Romano styles, any of those high temperature, long maturing cheeses, they will last for years. You can mature them for years if you like, and they just get better and better with age. Okay. Um, I am ugly says they make chocolate cheese not coated, but throughout the cheese. It's amazing, not bitter at all. Love the videos. Thanks for taking my question. I think with chocolate cheese, you're talking about a soft cheese that they've actually mixed chocolate through after it's made, not matured with it. But no problems. Chase, wondering why my Stilton aged 3 months still has an ammonia smell and it numbs my tongue. Oh, that doesn't sound right. Don't know. Maybe you personally may have an allergy to penicillin. Because that's one of the suggested side effects of having a penicillin allergy. So I would check with your health professional. I'm not a health professional. I'm just a cheese bloke. Okay, Roy says, I just want to say good day, Gav. Great to see you back. Thank you, Roy. Philgia says, no success making ricotta from whey. That's no good. Hope that helps. All right. Okay. Here's one that goes straight to the top of the queue. Thanks, Jason. NKY Homesteading asks, why do you get a marbled-looking blue cheese? How do you get a marbled-looking blue cheese? That is what we usually get in the US rather than the kind having straight veins through them. Now, I've been doing some research because blue cheese is not my absolute best cheese. What they do, there's actually a yeast. There's a yeast that they add in that's specific to making the cheese expand just a little bit inside, and it has all this ribbling through it or marbling through it, as well as the holes that you've poked in, right? So I don't know the name of it, but what I'll do some research. There's a yeast strain. And they add that to the milk. At the same time, they add the Brevibacterium linens. Brevibacterium linens. The Penicillium roqueforti. And yeah, you get them fleckled all the way through the cheese. Another way they do it is what they do instead of adding it to the blue culture to the milk, they basically add none at all. And then during the milling process, as they're stacking the curds that are fairly dry, they actually sprinkle the Penicillium roqueforti over the top of the curds in layers, and that way it gets dissipated that way as well. So it's a lot stronger. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Jason. All right, let's get back. Where are we? Nicholas says, I've got a 12-litre pot and a hard cheese mould that's full way more milk than my pot can hold. Is there a trick to preserving a set of curds before pressing? So basically, you want to put two batches together. Is that what you're saying? I would think, Nicholas, that you need to get a bigger pot. Otherwise, because what tends to happen is if you make a batch and then make another batch, the first batch has gone cold. There is a cheese that is a good example of people doing that, and it's called Morbier. So they let the milk from one day, they make the curds, put it in the mold, then put a layer of ash over the top of those curds, and they just keep draining naturally. And then the next day, they throw another batch of curds on top, and then it presses under its own weight, and they flip it for about 2 weeks, and that makes a very nice cheese called Morbier. So have a look at that if you can find a recipe for Morbier. I haven't made one yet. Maybe I should. Morbier. There we go. Alrighty. Igor says, do you have any advice on maturing parmesan with natural rind? I imagine that if it's in the plastic at all time, if it's in a plastic bottle all the time, all kinds of mold would develop on the rind. Yeah, it tends to. That's why after about a month of maturing and wiping in the in a maturation box, then I tend to vacuum pack it because the rind has gone fairly firm by that stage, and then by vac packing it, you've excluded all the air, the oxygen, and the molds can't breed, but the cheese still develops. That's the way I do it anyway. Yes, thanks, Molly. Yes, remember to thumbs up this stream. The more interaction that the channel gets, the I might even reach trending one day. How cool would that be on YouTube? Okay. Danny says, can you show us how to make mazithra? I can. I'll put it on the list. We've got lots of suggestions today. This is fantastic. This is why I come here. Okay. Manuel, how much rennet to use per litre of milk? How long is a piece of string, I ask you, Manuel? The bottle says 1 drop per litre, but I don't get a curd. I've added 5 drops for coagulation. Love your recipes. So the problem there is all the different rennet manufacturers manufacture their rennets at different strengths. Now, there is an international standard called IMCU, International Milk Coagulating Unit. I had to think about that. So they have various strengths. Most of the time on the bottles, they will tell you how many milliliters per liter of milk. And the problem is a drop is far smaller than a milliliter. It's a lot smaller actually. So yeah, you'll have to look at the IMCU now. Just to help you for a reference, the IMCU of the rennet that I use is between 200, and there's another rennet I sometimes use which is 240. I tend to use 2.5 milliliters per 10 liters of milk, but sometimes between 8 to 10 liters of milk. That will coagulate your milk within about 40 to 45 minutes, which is what you're looking for. That's the set time, and it doesn't go bitter. So less rennet is better if you can manage it. If you have to wait a little bit longer for curd set, then so be it. But too much rennet will cause your cheese to be bitter because it holds in too much of the whey into the curds during the cheese making process, and it just builds up in acid and it tastes bloody terrible. Okay, hope that helps. Zane says, g'day from Utah. G'day, Zane. Cody, love your vids. Thanks, mate. Joy says, this past year in Wisconsin, milk has been on sale for $1.99 per gallon. So what's that? 3.7 litres. So 4 gallons and 4 pounds of cheese around here is $8. Maybe subsidised. Yeah, I think it might be. But that's fairly cheap milk there, Joy. Okay. Scrolling down. Andy says, I've noticed lots of cheese blogs from the past, including some from your podcast, are defunct. Why? Any thoughts on why people have given up on it? Don't know. Maybe maybe I'm too much of competition for them. I don't know. There's people go through periods of interest. It's like anything in the world. You can't keep doing the same thing forever. Look, my podcasts are planned to come back. Like I said, I tried to record some in hospital, just didn't happen for me. I've got everybody's voicemails from I've got so many voicemails that I just have to answer because I feel like a bit of a fraud if I don't answer them. Um, but yeah, so they will be coming back. But yeah, there are lots of cheese blogs out there. People started them in all good faith, and they stopped because I don't know, maybe there's no interest or anything. All right, DF Gaming says gaming chair. Yes, I do have a gaming chair. It's good for your back. I am ugly guy. It's hard like, sorry, it's hard like cheddar, not soft. I was asking because I don't live there, so it's hard to get. I was wondering how they make it. Not so sure. I don't know. I haven't seen chocolate. I think you're referring to the chocolate cheese again. I don't know. Sorry. I can look it up. Let's do that. Chocolate cheese. If I do find something that's amazing, you'll be the first to know. Okay. Laughing Man, sup from America. Uh, that wouldn't be Daytona Beach, would it? Dirtona in Florida. Michael, how do you make vegan cheese? With nuts. With nuts. Okay. Phil Gia, sorry. I made ricotta successfully, but when I try to make it from the way, it does not make more cheese after adding more milk. Why? That would be because there are not much milk solids or proteins in um, whey, and it depends on the type of whey. If you try and make cheese with whey that is, if you try and make cheese with whey that has been made from an acid set cheese, then you will get no ricotta. It'll be just clear. If you try and make whey ricotta from what's called sweet whey, which means whey that is left behind after cheese that is made with rennet, and the whey is cloudy, then you will get some ricotta. So don't get confused on the different types of whey. Okay. Molly says, Andy, lots of blogs failed after they killed off Google Reader. Uh, would that be RSS feed? I think. Yeah, I think that's what you mean. Thanks, Molly. Appreciate that. Jason says we're paying 98 cents a gallon. My goodness me, that's so cheap. Hopefully the milk's really good quality. To your girl says, hi Gavin, wondering if the flavour of cheese changes in flavour by making cheese from rennet made from a calf. I've heard some Italian are still using it for cheese making. Yes, a lot of Italians are making it. Still using animal rennet for cheese making. Oh, I've heard various stories. I've never used calf rennet before because it's hard to get here in Australia. But yeah, apparently some people say that it lowers bitterness in longer aged cheeses, and you will find that most authentic Parmesan, Granada Padano, Romano, all those hard Italian cheeses, all are made using calf rennet or veal, or sorry, calf, kid, or goat, and sometimes even pig rennet. So yeah, those cheeses are all made with animal rennet. So if you're thinking if you're eating oh sorry, excuse me. So if you're eating Parmesan and you think it's vegetarian friendly, it's not. Okay. um. Okay. We're at Laughing Man. I can't make cheese because the milk is not good. I'd have to find a farmer that has real milk. Yep, definitely. Um. Giuliano says, hi Gavin, my mozzarella comes becomes a sour cream cheese. I tried citric acid and rennet. Mm. Without many more details, I'm very unsure on what's going on. Waleed says, hi from Algeria. I admire your work a lot. I was wondering if you're ever going to do a Roquefort anytime soon. Uh, Look, I've got to perfect my blue cheese making skills. I've got to hone those in, and I really do need to make a true Roquefort. Obviously, the name is AOC Limited. So to make a cheese like Roquefort, I would have to get some sheep's milk because that's what it's made from, and it's very scarce in Australia. I have managed to source it before, but it's on my list of cheeses to do. Don't you worry about that. Okay. I Boogan says, you seem a little surprised your raclette was so mild. Yeah, look, I didn't know what to expect. As in, because I'd never tasted the cheese just by the slice. I'd only tasted it when it had been melted. So it did surprise me. I thought it was going to be a little bit stronger because it does have an amazing taste when you have raclette potatoes, which I've had a few times before. Okay, Nicholas says, try out the recipe for Sal George cheese on the website for New England cheese making supplies. I'll have a look. It's all good for a laugh. All right, I'll check that out. Thanks, Nicholas. Would I do anything different from the raclette? No, I think it was okay. I wouldn't change it at all. I think it was perfect. Andy says, I have a great source of raw cow's milk. Do you have any tips for adapting your recipes for raw versus pasteurized homogenized? Yeah, it's a couple of simple tips. Use a little bit less rennet. And most of the time, you don't need to use the calcium chloride because it hasn't been heat treated. Raw milk will set a curd fairly quickly, but use it within the first day, is what they normally do, and you will prevent any bad bacteria outbreaks. Okay, Familth, by the way, the restaurant I was talking about with the vegan cheese makes gorgonzola, brie, and cheddar all look like the real stuff. Yeah, I have actually seen. There's a Facebook page called um, Cashew Burt. There's a cheese over in Germany they're making, which looks like camembert, and it's made with cashews, obviously. And there's some special cultures they actually use to make it into that. So, and have a white bloom around it and all that sort of stuff. So it looks good. Wesland says, G'day from Brazil. G'day, mate. Tim, g'day, mate. How are you? Thanks for being a patron. Um, Winchester 404, have you made cheese from flavoured milk? Can't say I have. No, I don't know what's in it, so I'm not going to make cheese with it. Tripack says, I finally fell on you whilst you were alive. Hello from the Philippines. G'day to you. Okay, bit of chitty chat going on there. Ewan says, love your work. Thank you. DF Gaming, I'm from Algeria too. All right. Ewan, love your work. Molly, oh, okay. The conversations. It's fantastic. Dear girl, I'm from South Australia. I was wondering if I could get raw milk, as I know it's illegal to sell raw milk. If so, how could I find some for cheese making? Thanks. Oh, that's a bit secret, isn't it? I'm actually from South Australia as well. Did you know that? I was born in Loxton on the River Murray. So there you go, snap. Now, raw milk, I'm not going to tell anybody how to get their milk. I'll leave that up to them. It is illegal to sell, and if you get caught, and I get caught, then we're in a world of hurt. So I'll leave that to your discretion. You'll have to figure it out for yourself. Maybe contact a few of the local farmers that provide milk to processing plants. Okay. Carol. Oh, lovely to see you, Carol. How are you? And Lindsay, will you ever consider making a video on Cambozola cheese? I adore this cheese. Yes, I'll pop it on the list. I'm running out of paper here today. Cambozola. Now, for those who don't know, Cambozola is a cross between Gorgonzola and Camembert. Let me have a look. All right, cool. That's on the list. It's on the list. Tripack question. If I order cultures from you online, do you think they'll be fine when they arrive in the Philippines? Yes, they will. We actually only ship standard shipping, which usually gets there pretty fast. So it's not economy slow mail. We ship all over the world, and we've never had any uh, complaints that the cultures have arrived dead on arrival. And it's pretty hard because they're freeze dried, right? They don't activate until you actually add a liquid to them, where they'll start to breed and multiply again. So, yep, they will get there and they will work. So, go ahead, order your heart out. Okay. See you later, DF Gaming. Geordie says, will brine made from whey last as long as brine made with water? No. The whey brine tends to be, look, two schools of thought. When you use whey for brine, it tends to acidify, continue to build up in acidity. It just does. There's still lactic bacteria within the whey that still breed and eat the lactose. If you use water as your brine base, then you can keep it and use it over and over and over again. All I tend to do before I make a new cheese is I boil up my brine and then let it cool back down to 13 degrees Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit. And then I use it because by boiling that brine, it kills any bacteria that may have bred during the storage phase. And it gets rid of blue molds, red molds, you name it, by boiling it. And then cool it down, then brine your cheese as normal. Has some funky flavours, I tell you. They do. It does start to adopt flavours of cheese, but you can keep using it, straining it, boiling it for as long as you want. Okay. Yes, you need farming mates. That's right, Molly. Okay, Carol, farm supply store sell raw milk here, but it's marked animal feed, not for human consumption. BS, it's raw milk. That's correct. We used to have. They changed the law here in Victoria in Australia as well that you could sell raw milk as bath milk or pet milk. That's what I had to have on the label, but everybody knew in the health food stores that it was raw milk. Now what they do is and they don't even sell it anymore. It's useless because if you're going to sell raw milk here in Victoria, the producer has to add a bittering agent, which is very similar to the bittering agent they put into isopropyl alcohol to stop alcoholics drinking it because it hurts you. So yeah, it's all very bad. Okay, Ewan says hello from New Zealand. Dave says hello from Nova Scotia. It's a warm +8 degrees. And as Kim has mentioned, yes, it's +7 degrees here this morning. It's rather chilly. We're just lucky we're in an insulated house that has nice, what am I looking at? Double glazing windows. So yeah, we're one of the rare few here in Australia that have double glazing. Where are we? Tripack says here we have water buffalo milk. Too bad you don't have it to make a real mozzarella di buffalo. Yeah, I know. It's very hard to get buffalo milk here. There's not a lot of herds. 2 for 1 says, thank you for your videos. I found them greatly helpful. You're most welcome. 26 in the Philippines, by the looks of it. Bittering agent. Yes, it is. It is terrible. And Molly, it's about the same time in London. Oh, snap. It's great. Dior Girl says, hang on, I'll take a sip first. Dior Girl says, what happens if I use table salt for my cheese? Well, not a lot, as long as the table salt doesn't have any iodine added to it. Because what happens when you have iodized salt is that the iodine tends to kill the lactic bacteria that are essential during the ripening process, and they break down as enzymes and create all those flavors in the cheese. So if you use iodized salt, it tends to stop the ripening process within your cheese. But ordinary table salt, as long as the ingredients only say salt and maybe an anti-caking agent, would probably be okay. Cooking salt's better because it doesn't have anti-caking agent. Sea salt's even better because it's just sea salt. There's nothing else added to it. So I tend to use this stuff called dairy salt, which we get. It's very fine grain salt and tends to absorb very readily into the cheese. And we sell it on our site as well. Okay, Winchester 404. In your eyes, what's the worst cheese? Oh, I haven't come across a cheese I haven't liked, so no, I don't have one. Tim says, my kefili keeps getting brown spots. I've been rubbing them with brine. Are they okay to leave or not? Well, yeah, kefili does tend to do that because it's a very salty cheese. Those brown spots keep growing. That's from my experience as well. Just keep wiping them. Don't let them develop into black ones, and you'll be fine. It'll taste absolutely fantastic, Tim. Don't worry about that. You're only washing it for what, 3 weeks tops. So, Brett says hello from San Jose, California. Welcome back. Thanks, Brett. Wesleyan says, Gavin, can you make a tutorial about some Brazilian cheeses like Prato. I'll have a look. Prato. I'll check it out. Okay, Waitrose essential table salt and cooking salt has no iodine here in the UK. Well, that'll be okay then. So that'll be good. Okay, what's the time? We're looking at 8:54 my time. So we're getting pretty close to the top of the hour. I think we'll finish questions for the day. Thank you very much for all of your wonderful questions today, and apologise for being a bit slower than I normally am. Like I said, I'm trying to take it easy after I just got out of hospital on Sunday. So what is it, Wednesday? I've had 3 days out. Kim's been looking after me so well, and thank you very much, darling, for all of your help on my recovery. I'll just say that officially here on the video. Now, don't forget that you can support the show for as little as $1 US. So all you have to do is go over to patreon.com/ I think it's Greening a Gavin was my old moniker. But yeah, there's a link down below somewhere, and Kim will put a link into the live stream if she's paying attention. But just imagine if everybody who subscribed to the channel pledged $1, how amazing would that be? I'd be a full-time. That's all I do is just cheese. That's all I do. Be fantastic. Anyway, thanks for your help so far, everybody. Kim's popping up the links now. There's the link to our shop, littlegreenworkshops.com.au. We ship internationally, so don't worry about that. All the cultures usually get there. Sorry, not usually. They always do. They always get there on time, and they're always in good condition. So also another link that Kim will put up, maybe the merch store one if she can find it. And don't forget that I have a second channel, Gavin Weber Vlogs, and I'll be doing some vlogs over, well, this weekend for sure. And subsequent weeks, and we'll get some action going on that channel as well. And watch out for, I think Keflatiri will be the cheese that I'll put up this weekend, but it won't be Friday morning my time. It may be Saturday or Sunday, depending on what the YouTube gods decide to categorize it as, and we'll have to wait to make sure it's monetized, and that all happens. Anyway, I will be producing some podcasts on an ongoing basis, and you can find those at littlegreencheese.com down there. So we'll get those in the bag and go from there. Anyway, thank you, Curd Nerds, for all your time. Without your questions, there would have been no show. And I will see you again next Wednesday. Same time, same channel. And I'll try to do some time conversions, put that on the community tab of the channel, so everybody turns up and we will have a great time. Anyway, thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you next time.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. G'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.
Well, g'day, Curd Nerds. Well, g'day, Curd Nerds.